We're back, another Tool Tip Tuesday. So today we're talking about the stump, a tool that essentially built majority of this car. It's easy to overspend on, it's easy to overcomplicate, but it's just as easy to build an affordable one and a simple one. So how is it? What does it do? Works in conjunction with blocking hammer. They come in steel, wood, and it's just a luxury to have a sandbag. Don't need it, but when you are busy stretching in the stump and you want to stretch really fast, you just put your material in the sandbag and it stretches probably 6 times what the stump stretches. Not as smooth a finish. You can't clean in the sandbag, you can clean in the stump, but these three together, pair made in heaven. They work great. I would try find an old tree stump if I was you, but they are difficult to come upon. Can't find a modern tree, something new, it's just too soft. So find a good old tree stump laying in someone's lawn, stop them. Hey, sorry, can I throw that away for you? Take it straight to the workshop like a lot of the other tools here, repurposed. Because on these railway sleepers, you often have these holes that need to be filled, don't need to be filled, but it'll be a lot nicer if they're not there. How did I carve this hollow in the stump? Simple, no fancy tools. A wood carving disc on a little angle grinder and a bunch of time. That's it, just little bit by little bit by little bit by little bit. Dig too deep, blend it all out, and then take your time and go from there. Nothing fancy. When it comes to the shape of the bowl, this is where it can get a bit controversial and get a bit overcomplicated. So there are benefits to having all different types. Extremely deep here, extremely hollow here, shallow, different shapes, but there's a lot of shape in this car. That came from this bowl. Simple, what is it? KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. There we go. You want a deep side, you want a shallow side, you want a straight edge, you want a curved edge. If you're wanting to do a little bit of shrink, you come to the shallow side. When you want to do a little bit more shrink, you come to the deep side. If you're losing a shrink while you're trying to capture it, you come to the curved edge, holds the material curved. If you don't want to shrink that much, you come to the straight edge. It lets the material disperse. That's the basics. It really is that simple. Then what I've got here is just for when I'm trying to stretch an edge and the shape in the panel already. You don't want to do it, that's all awkward. Just hollow out this little pucker here. So you can go, stretch your edge nicely without it, this edge knocking dents into it. Then I've got this triangle that I've hollowed out here. Don't do it, dumb idea. My thought behind it was, hey, I can just make a pucker to shrink. But it's just so much easier to make it on the edge. So let me show you how. What is the purpose of shrinking or stretching metal? Why do we want to do it? Because we want a race car. So we need to shrink and stretch metal. So if we want shape in this panel, we can get the exact shape we're looking for by just stretching the centers and the edges, coming up, coming up. It's going to take very long and we're going to thin out the center of the panel. Whereas if we just do a couple little shrinks on the edge of the panel, it's going to give us a ton of shape already and we're not going to thin out the center. So we do the shrinks, get close, then we block out the center and start thinning that material so that the whole time we don't have an extremely thin piece of material and it's still easy to work with. We've got some room for error, we can still planish, file our welds. How to shrink in the stump. Where do I want to shrink? That you're going to have to see on your paper pattern. This is just a video of basics of the stump. So let's say we want to shrink, where do we want to shrink?
Let's shrink this area.
Lovely days, happy days. We're going to do a shrink here now. So usually this would be the top of our panel. So we want to shrink, we're going to need to see the back side. So we just thumb around about there. Same, close enough. What do we do? Where do we go? We go to our stump, because that's what you build a race car on. Earmuffs. This is the top of our panel. This is where we want the shape coming. So we're going to flip it over where we've marked our shrink, come to the edge. Come to the edge here. Now all I'm going to do is define my shrink on the stump. So I'm just going to put it here and knock along the edge to form a pucker. So, a question, back at it with all the so's, deal with it. A question I had a lot in the beginning is, hey, you say we're shrinking, but we're hitting this metal with a hammer. We're clearly stretching. Yes, you're 100% correct. But we are shrinking way more than we are stretching. So now we go to the stump. And do we want a lot of shrink here, Jean, or do we want a little bit of shrink?
Yeah, it's
Exaggerated. We want a lot of shrink. So we come to the deep side, we can capture it all. What we do, this is the end of the shrink. So we want it to start shrinking from there along. Place it in the stump, come around here. If we were looking for a little bit of shrink, we would go to the shallow side and it wouldn't pucker close to as much. But Jean wants a lot, so go here, give him a hold. There's our pucker formed. We don't want shape here, so we just keep that guy nice and flat. And now we shrink. We just work incrementally. We overlap our blows, one into the next, into the next, into the next. Now we're left with some residue on the panel, and you can actually see where the metal has been forced into itself and become thicker. So if you have a look there, and on the inside. So if we need more shrink, you can just add another one, add another one, add another one. So I'll do another one, just for example. There we go. Now we can take it to the shallow side. And we can see we're not going to have close to as much shrink because our panel is not as captured as it would be there. There we go. We can see our edges are coming around because we've shrunk in the middle. That's come up. Other side, the exact same thing. Tool stretching. What do? We can stretch in the stump here just simply by hammering. See, we've got a bit of shape coming. Hammer some more. You want more shape. You can hammer really hard, but you're only getting so much stretch because you can't force the metal into the stump. Or you can only force it so much. If you want more shrink, you just come to the sandbag and, oh baby. A ton of shape. But now we've got all these large walnuts. So once we go to the wheel or the hammer and dolly, clean that up is going to take ages. Get rid of that. We just go to the stump and we hit more consistently all around to make it a more uniform surface. So it's fast, it's cleaned up on the wheel or hammer and dolly. Every time you shrink in a stump, every time I shrink in a stump, I find that each side of my shrink, on the left and on the right, I will always end up with a hollow. So what I do is do my shrink, flip it over. I don't want to go and stretch it in the sandbag. I just want to blend it on the stump itself. So we've got a pretty rough finish there. Now when we're done blocking on the stump here, we're going to have a lot smoother one. Now, if we compare from the side where we cleaned it up in the stump to the side where we just shrank in the stump, you can tell there's a world of a difference. If you had a wheelless panel, this side I would end up with a hollow here, so it would look like that. Then where we shrunk would be the high point, then it would come down again. Whereas if I had a wheelless now, we would just have a nice compound shape. Done day. That's the basics of a stump. That's how you use it. The rest is up to you and scrap metal. Honestly, that's how you become proficient at a stump, is you take 3 full sheets, you try to make them into panels, and you're probably going to throw them away. It's scrap metal, scrap metal, scrap metal, scrap metal, time wasted, but something gained, so it's not completely wasted. But go make scrap metal, and then one day build a race car.